Hello and welcome to my next YouTube tutorial in Unity. This one's going to be an advanced tutorial, which means that if you're just going through the tutorials and you're thinking, man, this is all stuff I've already seen before, when is Tim going to teach me some new stuff? Well, this is the tutorial for you, hopefully. If that's not something you're interested in, that's totally fine. I don't expect you to be doing this tutorial unless an advanced tutorial is something you're interested in. Today we're going to be looking at sound and how we can implement a manager system to play those sounds in a way that is a lot cleaner than a lot of sort of complex sound systems. And a lot of what we learned today we can apply to many other kind of sort of managing systems. So let's go ahead and create an empty object, which is going to be our manager. This is just going to be the object that we have our manager script attached to. Audio manager, let's call it. And then we're going to add our new script. Let's call this audio manager as well. Oh, we could call it something different, but whatever floats your boat. So let's open it up. Sometimes it doesn't automatically open in Visual Studio, so I'll double click on it. Okay, here we go. Now, what we're going to use for our manager is an instance that is a static instance. So one thing that you might have seen before, or maybe not, is a static variable. So just like we've got public variables and we've got private variables, we can also have a static variable, though this is as well as public or private. And by saying that it's a static variable, what we mean is that there can only ever be one of that variable, and you don't reference it through a script or through a class variable. You instead just reference it from the class itself in Unity. Or in C# rather, and I'll show you what that means. So in this case, our static audio manager variable is we're going to call this manager instance. Now wherever I am, no matter where I am, I can then access that instance by just typing in audio manager dot manager instance, and now we've accessed that variable. You may have noticed that this follows the pattern that a lot of stuff in Unity has. For example, time.deltaTime, that is a static variable. We just access it through the time class. We want to create our own manager we can access from anywhere. However, we still actually want to set it to a value. In this case, we're going to do awake, just so it's the very first thing that happens when we run the game, and we're going to set this instance to ourself. Oops, no, to self, please. Oh no, self is from a different language. Whoops, this. C# uses this. All right. Now, whenever the game runs, we'll immediately get a static instance, and this is called a singleton. Now everywhere we are, we can use this manager. So it's a bit abstract at the moment, but you'll see what this means. One of the things we can now do is add a method, say a public method, which is, say, play sound effect. Now let's say we want to play a sound effect every time we jump. In our follow player, no, not the right script. Where's our jump script? In our player movement. All right, let's see, where are we triggering jump? Here it is here. This is where we're jumping. So we can go ahead and add the trigger for our sound effect by going audio manager dot instance, and now we've accessed, excuse me, this autocorrect is not playing ball today. Instance manager instance dot play sound effect. Alright, so nothing actually will happen when we trigger this method, but let's go ahead and make that, solve that problem. We're going to make an audio source variable, call this like source, and then just for now, we're going to make this all a bit better, but we're just going to go ahead and play that audio source. let's go ahead and add the audio source component. Where is it? There it is. This will allow us to play a sound effect from this one source. Drag the source in. We're going to need a clip of some audio to actually play. This website here, BFXR, is great for just quickly generating little 8-bit sounds. Which of these jumps do I like? Sure, whatever. Let's just export one of them. Download it. Will it appear down here? Apparently not. Let's go to my downloads. And drag in our Unity sound effect. There it is there. Alright, then we can set the clip, the audio clip, to this audio clip. So now whenever we run the game, every time we jump, we should hopefully play the little sound effect. Oh, let's not mute the audio. Alright. That seemed to work. Now, wherever we are, we want to maybe play a different sound effect. But at least at the moment, we're playing the sound effect from our class, and everywhere else is accessing that static instance. Let's add the next thing that you may or may not have heard of, which is an enum. And now an enum is something that can have a variable value that really helps us out with understanding how our own code works, because we can set all of the names of that enum value. So I'm going to go and say public enum sound effect name. And for our enum, we're actually going to want to, I think, use a capital E. Maybe that's why it's complaining. Why is it complaining? Well, there it is there. I'm not sure why it was complaining there, but maybe there was something I did wrong and I've done it correctly now. But we've got our enum. For our enum, we're actually going to use these brackets that we're going to open. And in these brackets, in these curly brackets of the enum, we're going to list all of the different kinds of sound effects we have. For example, jump. And we're going to use a comma to separate them. So jump, we've got like a coin sound effect, a death sound effect, and we could just keep going, right? And these are all of the different values that an enum of sound effect name can be. Then we're going to want to go ahead and create a list of these sound clips to play, depending on which kind of sound effect we want to use. I think there maybe are they audio clips? I don't know. Something I'm sure you've noticed by now in my tutorials is that I often can't remember the names of things, and that's totally fine. A lot of programming is just re-remembering. So long as you understand what's going on, the names of stuff, it's easy to try and use autofill to find out. For example, if I type in clip, animation clip, no, it doesn't look right. There we go. Audio clip is what it's called. So let's call these sound effects, sound effect clips. And we're going to set it to equal to a new list. And this list will then contain all of the actual sound effect clips that we'll use. So let's go ahead and download some more audio clips. Let's get one for death. That sounds great. Let's get one for collecting a coin. There, that one's better. I like that one. I'm going to go into my downloads and drag these into Unity. Then in our audio manager, let's make sure we make this public so we can see it in Unity. I'm going to save this. Now we should be able to see our list. Here it is here, and let's drag in all of these values. So we're going to jump in, jump, we're going to drag in getting hurt, and we're going to drag in picking up the coin. And the order that we drag these in, we're going to relate that to the order of these enums. So I'm going to do the jump, and then the coin, and then the death, jump. Oh, I've got those the wrong way around, so let's put the coin second, and the death last. And there's a better way of doing this, but this one's simple. Now, whenever we play a sound effect, We don't always want to play the jump sound effect. Sometimes we want to play the death. Sometimes we want to play the coin. So we're going to add an argument into our method that will change which sound effect we use. And we're going to use this enum. Whoops. Copy this enum as the variable type for our argument, which is something we're feeding into the method. In this case, we're going to call it like sound effect to trigger. That means that whenever we do call it here, and whenever we're jumping, we're going to want to do enum, what was it? A sound effect enum? Let's have a look and see what it was called. Sound effect name. And we're going to say which enum it is, dot jump. Because we want to jump. It's giving us a red line, and that's because we can't access the enum because it's inside a different class. So let's go ahead and copy this, and we're actually going to put it outside the class, which is usually heretical, but this means that we can use this enum from anywhere. Now it will understand. Yeah, yes, I know what you mean now. Sound effect name dot jump. And then, well, where else do we want to play something? Well, whenever we get a new coin, where is that? Here it is here. We just got a coin, so let's stick this in here. But this time, instead of jump, we're going to say coin. So you can see how useful it is just to be able to access this audio manager from anywhere, just with this audio manager.manager instance.play sound effect. And that's what I'm copying. And then what about death? Death collider. Here we go. So just before we destroy the player, we're going to play the death sound. All right, so we've got all of these different enums being fed in through our argument. Now we just have to play the right sound effect depending on the enum. And we can convert our enum into an index to use on our sound effect clips. So to access a particular value in our list, we're going to use the square brackets that tell us which one we're accessing. So funny thing about coding is that you always start with an index of 0. So like this is element 0, which is the jump. Element 1 is the pickup coin. Element 2 is the hurt sound effect. So we're going to want to say, for example, we were going to play the jump sound. We'd want 0 to be our index. And that would be the sound effect clip we use. In this case, we're going to set the index based on our enum value. And then we're going to want to play that clip. So we're going to set the clip that the source is using, source.clip, to the correct sound effect. It's complaining at me because it doesn't understand that, we're trying to use this enum as if it was an integer value. It's saying it cannot convert from one to the other. So we're going to have to cast that value. Yet another concept. This will be the last one, I promise. And this time we're taking our enum and we're changing it into an integer value. And there's two different ways we could do that. But the simplest one is to put brackets in front of the value that we want to cast into another one. Use it as if it was that value. And we're going to put int inside those brackets. So it's using the sound effect enum as if it was an integer, which means that jump will be 0, coin will be 1, death will be 2, and so on. Which now means that we'll access the correct clip and play it. All right, let's save the game, save our code. Let's run the game and see what happens. So I tried running this over and over again, and I had a bug. I didn't understand why the coin sound wasn't playing. And that was because I didn't actually save each of my scripts. So it's very important. Whenever you're on a script, you press Control S and you save it. You don't actually save all the other scripts. So whenever I'd made changes to those other scripts, they weren't saved. What I should instead do is go to Build and then Build Solution, or Control-Shift-B, and that will build and save all of the scripts. Now let's have a look and see how our game runs. All right, well, that's good. We've got the sound whenever we die. We've got the sound when we jump, as we did before. And now the sound for the coins. All looks good. I wonder why it's playing just at the very start as well. Let's have a look at the audio manager. Aha, play on awake. We don't want that. We only want it to play when we trigger it through our audio manager. So hopefully this has given you baptism by fire into a whole bunch of different concepts. We've got lists, we've got static instances, we've got all this good stuff. We've got enums. You can imagine how to add more sound effects is simply just increasing all of the different values for our enum and then making sure that they have the sound clip values in the right order in our sound clip list. And then we can just call this method from anywhere in our script. And we can do the same thing for lots of other kinds of management systems. See if you can add a whole bunch of different sound effects into your own game. All right, well, this has been a real crazy tutorial. So if you've got this far and you got it all working, then congratulations, very well done. I'm really interested to see what you think about all of these different crazy concepts.